In this lesson, we are looking at different arithmetic sequences and how to use the formula that goes along with them. So, this is the formula that you will see. I know it probably looks quite foreign to you. Um, N stands for a term number, or what spot it is on the list. That would be another way to think about it. What spot on the list? Okay. AN is the value of that term. So if my list goes like this, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17, okay? This is the fifth spot on the list. So if I was looking at that number right there, N would be 5 because it's the fifth number on the list. And then A5 would be 17. 17 is the number that's plugged into that spot. Okay? A1 is the first term, and D is the common difference, or what you're adding and subtracting each time to get to the next number. Okay? So, here we go. I am giving you this information, just some basic stuff. You need to plug it into that formula to find the nth term in the arithmetic sequence. So in this case, I'm asking you to find the 18th term, or what number is in the 18th spot. You need to use these formulas. On a quiz or a test, I will probably give you things like find the 300th term, and you're not going to want to find it by adding or listing out 300 numbers until you figure out what number is in the 300th spot, okay? So you need to get used to using these formulas because you will have to use them on the test. It will not be an option to just list each of the terms out, okay? So here we go. A1 is 7, so I'm plugging everything into this formula right here. So in this case, n is 18, so I'm going to go A18, so n is 18. I'll plug in 18 in both of those spots. A1 we know is 7, and then I have 18 minus 1, and my common difference is 9. Okay, so the 18th term on the list is 7 plus 17 times 9. Make sure you do what's in parentheses first. And that becomes 7 plus 153, which becomes 160. So the 18th number on the list is 160 in this case. That's what that means. Okay, the next one is very similar. We just have a fraction, so I don't want you to freak out about that. Okay, I'm using this formula right here. The first term it tells me is 3/8, so I will plug in 3/8 into the first term. My common difference is 1/4, so I will plug that in. And n is 15, so I will take 15 minus 1. And this is again is asking me to find the 15th term on the list. Okay, so the 15th term on the list is 3/8 plus 15 minus 1 is 14 times 1/4. So then A15 becomes 3/8 plus 14/4. And if you want to add these old school way, then you need to have common denominators. The common denominator between 8 and 4 is 8. So I would turn this into 28/8. And that becomes 31. 3/8 plus 28/8 becomes 31/8. And I actually want you to just leave it as a fraction. Don't give it to me as a mixed number or as a decimal. Go ahead and give it to me as a fraction, please. All right, again, we have an arithmetic sequence, and what I'm wanting you to do is I'm wanting you to find an equation that we can use to find any term on the sequence. I know the first 4 terms, but let's say I said to you, I want to know what number is in the 503rd spot on the list. I would not want to sit and write out 503 numbers. So I would want to use this formula again in order to be able to find any term number on the list. Now, if I'm asking you to find the nth term, what that means is I don't want you to plug in a number for n. I don't want you to do that here. Okay, so I'm just having you do an equals. A1 is the first term, which in this case we can see is 7. I am not wanting you to plug in a number for n here. And my D in this case, to get from 7 to 11, I add 4. From 11 to 15, I add 4. Okay, so I would do 4 right there. Then what I want you to do is just take that and simplify that for me a little bit. So I will distribute this 4 through, and I'll have an equals 7 plus 4n minus 4. And if you combine your like terms, if I combine the 7 and the negative 4, I get 3. So I'll have 4n plus 3. So that is the formula that I will be able to use to find any term number on the list. Okay? Then in part B, I'm asking you to find A37. So in that case, what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out what is the 37th number on the list. What number is plugged into the 37th spot? So to do that, I would go A37, and again, it's n is 37 in this case. So when I go to the other side of the equation, I also need to plug in 37 for n. And then I will just take 4 times 37 plus 3, and I will get 151. So what that means is that 151 is the 37th number on the list. It's in the 37th spot. Okay, this is very similar. The only thing is, well, really, it's just very similar, period. Okay? So to get from negative 5 to negative 2, I add 3. To get from negative 2 to 1, I add 3. To get from 1 to 4, I add 3. Okay? So if I make myself an equation then, again, if I'm wanting to find the nth term, I'm not going to plug a number in for n, but I am going to plug a number in for the first term. The first term is negative 5. Don't know n, and my common difference here is 3. So then I will distribute 3 through, and then an equals 3n. Negative 5 and negative 3 is negative 8. Okay, if I combine those two. And that will be the formula that generates any term on the list. Then it says to graph the first 5 terms. Okay, I am just going to rewrite this formula down here so I can scroll up. Okay, so basically if I find, I'm going to make myself a little table. Okay, this is going to be n, and this is going to be an. Okay, if I want to find the first number on the list, then I'm going to plug 1 in for n. So if I plug 1 in for n, then I will have 3 times 1 is 3 minus 8. So 3 minus 8 is negative 5. If I plug 2 in for n to find the second number on the list, then I will go 3 times 2, which is 6, minus 8 is negative 2. If I find the third number on the list, 3 times 3 is 9, minus 8 is 1. Fourth number on the list, 3 times 4 is 12, minus 8 is 4. And the fifth number on the list, 3 times 5 is 15, minus 8 is 7. You can see what's happening every single time as you're going up by 3. And now I'm going to plot this. So I'm at negative 1, negative 5, 2, and negative 2, 3 and 1, 4 and 4, 5 and 7. I think I graphed that first one wrong. Yep, it should be positive 1 and negative 5, and I did negative 1 and negative 5. So positive 1 and negative 5 should go right there. You can see that those dots fall into a line, and all arithmetic sequences will have dots that fall into a line, just so you know. All right, here's another one. This time, to get from one number to the next, to get from 36 to 30, you're subtracting 6. To get from 30 to 24, you're subtracting 6. So your common difference here would be negative 6. Okay? All right, so here we go. Plugging this in. The first term is 36. Not going to plug a number in for n. My common difference, make sure you say, is negative 6, not positive 6. Okay. I will distribute that negative 6 through. So negative 6 times n is negative 6n. Negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. And then I'm going to combine the negative 36 and 6 to make this be negative 6n plus 42 is what that will look like. Okay, so that is the formula that generates that sequence. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and graph that again. Okay, so I am first of all going to plug 1 in there. When I take -6 times 1, so I'm going to plug 1 in. -6 times 1 is -6, plus 42 is 36. So I'm going to plot the point 1, 36. Then I'm going to plug 2 in. When I plug 2 in, -6 times 2 is -12, plus 42 is 30. When I plug 3 in, -6 times 3 is -18, plus 42 is 24. I think you're seeing a pattern. I hope you're seeing a pattern. If I were to keep going, this is what would happen. Okay, all the dots fall into a line, and that's what it would look like. And lastly, I have the sequence that goes 4, 7, 10, 13, whole bunch of numbers in between, and then somewhere along the line I have the number 262. I know that in this spot n is 1, in this spot n is 2, in this spot n is 3, in this spot n is 4 because it's the 4th number on the list. In this spot, I don't know what n is, okay? But I know that an is 262. I know what number is plugged into that spot. 262 is plugged into that spot, so an is 262, but I don't know what spot it is, so I don't know my n. Okay, so I am going to go up to this formula right here, and I'm going to plug in what I know. Okay, so I know that I've got the sequence where 262 is plugged into a certain spot. So I'm going to call that an. My first term is 4. I don't know what n is. That's what I'm trying to solve for. My common difference to get from 4 to 7 and from 7 to 10 and all of that good stuff, I will add 3. Okay, so now I just need to solve. So 262 equals 4 plus, I will distribute this 3 through, 3n minus 3, or 262 equals 3n plus 1. And then I will subtract 1. So 261 equals 3n. Divide by 3. And n comes out to be 87. And so what that means is that the number 262 is the 87th number on the list. It is the 87th term on the list.